Be seated. State's first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state will call Cathy Knutson. Ma'am, if you go up here, the judge will swear you in and direct you, okay?
Raise your right hand. Now, this testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth. If so, say I do.
I do.
Be seated. McAllister.
Thank you. Ma'am, if you could please state your first and last name and spell them both for the record.
Cathy Knutson, Cathy Knutson.
You can hold the microphone down and be closer.
And ma'am, it is important that we all hear you, so if you could do your best to make the microphone comfortable so you can speak into it, okay?
Yes.
So, Ms. Knutson, can you tell the jury how you're employed?
I'm a 911 dispatcher for the Chickasaw County Sheriff's Office.
Are you a little nervous here today?
I am a little nervous
So
today.
you're going to need to slow down just a little bit, okay? What does it mean to be a 911 dispatcher?
Take calls from the 911 lines, as well as the add-on lines, and in our dispatch center, we also oversee ambulance.
And how long have you been working for the Chickasaw County Sheriff's Office?
I've been in Chickasaw County for 12 and a half years,
And how long have you been a dispatcher?
just short of 16 years.
What training is required to become a dispatcher in the state of Iowa?
You complete a 40-hour course through the ILEA Academy in Des Moines. You have to be certified jailer as well, since we do jailing as well. And then it's an ongoing 8-hour recertification every year.
And back on August 30th, 2017, were you a certified dispatcher here in the state of Iowa?
Yes, I was.
And when you were working as a dispatcher, were you working on August 30th, 2017?
Yes, I was.
Were you working at approximately 12:55 p.m.?
Yes.
When you're working as a dispatcher, are you alone or are there other dispatchers with you?
In our 911 center, we are typically alone. On that given day, there was actually somebody that was training as well, so there was somebody else with me, but I was the primary.
And so were you answering the calls that came in?
Yes, I was.
When a call comes into dispatch, a 911 call that is, in Chickasaw County, what do you see or what information do you have?
We get the caller's name, location, nature of the call, and then we dispatch units accordingly as needed, medical, fire, or law enforcement.
And let me ask you a little different way. When somebody calls 911, do you actually pick up a telephone or is there a computer screen or what do you see when you get a call?
We have a headset system and it comes up on a computer screen and it shows the phone number that's calling in, and if it's a cell phone, it'll show the nearest tower that it pulls up.
Will it show a location then or not?
Generally it will.
And when you say generally, what do you mean? Is it like a town?
It'll give a tower location is what the address comes up from on a cell phone call.
When a 911 call comes into the dispatch center at the Chickasaw County Sheriff's Office, are those calls recorded?
Yes, they are.
Do you have to do anything, press a button or anything to record them, or are they recorded automatically?
They're all recorded automatically.
In this case, did you receive a 911 call at 12:55 p.m. on August 30th, 2017?
Yes.
Was that call recorded?
Yes, it was.
Do you keep all the recorded calls in the records of the Chickasaw County Sheriff's Office as a matter of course?
Yes.
And they're kept in the course of that business, is that right?
Yes.
Did you actually have that call recorded?
It automatically records it.
So it was automatically recorded, correct?
Yes.
Have you reviewed the call?
Yes, I have.
And have you reviewed it before today?
I have, yes.
Is that call an accurate recording of the 911 call that you received at 12:55 p.m. on August 30th?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move for the admission of State Exhibit number 1.
Any objection? No objection. Submitted.
Permission to publish number 1, Your Honor.
Any objection? No objection. 1 shall be published.
In preparation for that, Your Honor, I'd ask, and I would waive the court reporting of the actual call itself. And I would ask that the court admit into the EDMS record Court Exhibit 126, and I'd ask permission for the jury to be handed out State's Exhibit number 126, which is a transcript of the call that they could follow along to listen. As they listen to the call, the quality is not the best.
Is that agreed?
It's agreed, Your Honor.
All right. The court attendant will give copies of the transcript to the jurors. Ladies and gentlemen, they will be returned after the presentation, and you will not receive a copy of this as the other exhibits in the jury room.
There's one for each.
Mr. McAllister, was that uploaded this morning?
No, sir.
Set some stuff together.
Don't worry about
Do
that.
you want a copy? Okay, sorry.
Proceed.
Thank you.
County 911.
This is Zachary Koehn. Need an ambulance sent to my apartment.
Okay, what's your address, Zach?
107 South Hilltop Avenue in Alta Vista.
Okay, what's going on?
Around 9, my girlfriend went to feed our son, and then about 11 or 11:30, she went to check on him, and he was gone.
Gone, meaning?
He died.
Okay.
He's got probably 4 months. I don't know if it's sudden death syndrome or what.
Okay, so you live at 107 South Hilltop in Alta Vista? What,
Apartment 7.
apartment 7? Okay, and your son's 4 months old? And the last time that you checked on was 9?
No, it was when she was pregnant at 9.
Okay.
And she was heard she was checked on her, heard her cry or whatever. So probably about 11:30, 11:40, she went to check on her, she passed away.
Okay, so that's the last time you checked on. Okay, what's your phone number there, Zach?
406-223-2190. Pretty sure the last time she checked. She told me out, so I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll get them paged out, okay? I'm going to send an ambulance and everybody up there, okay?
Okay, thanks.
All right, thanks.
Can I proceed, Your Honor?
You may.
Mr. Knutson, the voice on that call was, one of the voices was you, correct?
Yes,
You were the one who answered the call?
yes,
And to be clear, the call was received at 12:55, correct?
correct.
And that was PM.
Yes,
Now, the person on the other end of the call identified themselves as Zach Koehn, correct?
yes,
Did you know Mr. Koehn or recognize his voice?
no.
Now, after you received this call, what did you do?
I would have paged out ambulance, first responders, and notified law enforcement to respond.
When you say you paged out first responders, what does that mean?
Around our county, we have people who don't necessarily belong to an ambulance crew, but they respond in a first responder capacity. So if anybody's in the area, they will respond as a first responder.
When you say you put out a page, what exactly is a page?
Set out on the radio, set off the tones for the ambulance and first responders, and then they respond.
And what type of information would you provide to the first responders?
Would be the location and the nature of the call.
And what was the nature of the call that you provided to the first responders?
Infant, possibly DOA.
Now, did you provide similar information to law enforcement officers?
Yes, I did.
Were you responsible for dispatching or sending the law enforcement officers to that residence?
Yes,
And you had the street residence that was given to you by the caller, correct?
correct.
Did the caller call from a cell phone?
Yes,
Could you tell on that screen you talked about if the call originated in a location that was consistent with what he gave you?
I would have had to ask his address to verify it because it would have came from the nearest tower. And that's why I asked him his address repeated.
Thank you, ma'am. That's all the questions I have.
Cross?
No question, Your Honor.
You may step down. Can this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Next witness?
State calls Toni Friedrich.
Our may have a moment, may we approach?
You waive, stay on the record, Mark. You waive your client's presence during this sidebar?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
Merely, you collect the...
We're going to take a brief recess. If you could take the jury back, please, Marilyn.
All rise for the jury.
All right, be seated. Mr. Durazo has received an email from a colleague, is that correct?
I don't know who this person is, Your Honor.
Okay. But it reports to him, go ahead and tell me what it says.
It says, hello, I just wanted to let you know that the jury was shown on the way to the courtroom this morning on the live stream of the trial on Law&Crime.com. It asks about my client's right to a fair trial and it attaches a screenshot as well. And there does appear to be one juror, it is the juror walking into the, right here, this door. I don't think that door. Is it?
This morning they came in.
Oh, yeah, they came in this door. So, but I'm not sure what else. It does appear that there's another shot of the jurors sitting there.
I'm just going to ask, please make sure we're not broadcasting pictures or any live streams of the jurors. I don't know where that's coming from or who it's from, but was it just one juror?
All the pictures of, let's click on that. No, it's multiple jurors.
Okay. Go ahead.
I guess I'm Nancy's representative, she's not here. Could I take a look just to see what
Yes.
context?
And I'm not taking any action, I just want to make sure.
I just like to see how it's,
Yeah, I just wanted to make a report about that.
this is, they were filing in, or this was before?
What's that?
Well, this morning they came in through that door.
They didn't.
They came in.
They should have come in through that door.
Yeah, those are jurors right there. Yeah, they came through that door. So, that's
All right, we're fine.
I just,
Okay. So, yes, maybe when the jurors are coming in,
in this door.
Okay.
Yes.
Was there another shot, or that was the only,
That was the, I guess,
that was the gist of it? Was,
I thought there was another screenshot. It was like some sort of.
We're off the record.
That's all I saw.
all right. Okay, thank you. Just,
No, I just want to make the court aware of that.
Just know that the early part when I was talking. Okay. Any other, now we're not on, any other record that you wish to make?
No, Your Honor, I just want to draw the court's attention to that.
Any further record, Ms. Timmons?
No.
Okay. All right. We're all trying to work together here, and we're going to continue to do so. We just want to bring that to your attention that that has been reported to us, okay? Bring them back in. Steve, thanks for putting that to me.
Not a problem.
All rise for the jury.
Be seated. Next witness. Right up here. Raise your right hand. Don't stay standing. Sorry. Face me. You promise the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth. If so, say I do.
I do.
Have a seat. Relax.
Yep. Okay. Okay.
Can you tell us your name?
Toni Friedrich.
Can you spell that for the court reporter?
Tonifriedrich.
I am going to move this up closer to your face just so we can, it's hard to hear in here, okay? Where do you work at?
I am Rochester, Minnesota, Mayo Clinic, St. Mary's Hospital. I work in an ICU after you have heart surgery. We do newborns to adults,
How long have you done that?
30 years.
Have you been in nursing longer than that, or has that always been your job?
Always been my job, but I've been a nurse for 35 years.
Do you have certifications or license?
Yes, I'm a registered nurse. Certifications would be adult cardiac life support, pediatric life support.
You said that you work at Mayo Clinic. Where do you live at?
My address is Alta Vista, Iowa. We farm, so we live on a farm.
And that's close to the Minnesota border, is that right?
Yep, about 20 miles.
Do you also do do first responder work.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
I'm a first responder.
What does that mean?
When I went semi-retired in 2014, when I was younger, I was a first responder. And then once you have kids and I started working up in Rochester, then I stopped doing that, being a first responder. And so then when I semi-retired, that was in 2014, I went back on for the Chickasaw Rescue Squad, and I started being a first responder again. So what that means is you get a page out, if it's in your area, you go and you go and help the person.
Do you have a particular title with that, or is it first responder?
It's I'm old school, it was first responder, and now it's called emergency, an EMR, emergency medical responder is what it's called now.
And do you have any special training that you had to do for that?
Since I'm a registered nurse, I'm in with that, but then I go to monthly meetings and trainings in order for the emergency part of what you can come up against and what you find.
Is that volunteer or anything?
Yes, no, volunteer.
How often do you get called out, just on an average?
Not very often. And then again, it's, are you in the area or are you not in the area? And so it kind of all just depends on how it is.
Alta Vista is in Chickasaw County, correct?
Correct.
That's a fairly rural county.
Yeah.
All right, I'd like to talk to you about August 30th, 2017. Were you paged out that day regarding an infant?
Yes.
Do you know about what time you received that page?
Noonish. I didn't, time-wise, I didn't, it's all written someplace, I guess. Time-wise are just approximate.
Okay, so if records would show it was maybe closer to 1 o'clock, that would be fair?
Yes. That isn't one of the things that I remember.
You received a call and it was about an infant, correct?
Yes.
How close were you to where you were supposed to go?
2 miles.
When you received the call, what did you do?
I got in my car and went there. And when kids are different. When you get a kid, it's different with kids than it is with adults. For me, it is. It heightens your. It heightens what you're thinking.
I'm getting back feed. I'm going to turn that volume down just a little bit. Okay, thank you. Can everyone hear okay right now? Yep. Okay. Proceed, Ms. Timmons.
So you received this page, you get in your car right away? Is that a yes or no?
Yes. Sorry.
When you're driving to the address, you were sent to 107 South Hilltop in Alta Vista, correct?
Correct.
Apartment number 7.
I missed apartment number 7. Yes, and so I turned my flashers on. I know we're not supposed to do that as an emergency. Because I use my own personal car, we are not supposed to turn our emergency flashers on when we're going, but I was going, and yes, I got there.
On the way there, what are you thinking? You said that it's different when it's a kid.
So I'm thinking, when there's no different than up at work, when you're taking care of a kid, you're thinking, worst case scenario, what are you going to do? What's going to happen? What are some causes? Things like this. And so
I'm thinking respiratory, SIDS. I'm thinking I'm going to do CPR, going over how to do basic life support, CPR.
Why don't you just pull the microphone back a little ways from you?
So it only took you a few minutes to get to town?
Yeah.
When you pulled into town, you said you had some trouble with the address. How were you able to find where to go?
There was, the streets run north and south. I missed the apartment 7 number, because that's, if I would have caught that, then I would have known where I was going. And so I was going through, pulled up. I called back to the sheriff's office to get the address again, approximately at the same time that I met up with the mailman, Tina Shatek. And so at the same time that I was on my phone, he said apartment 7, and she was over here saying, what address are you looking for? He told me apartment 7, and so then I just left and went there.
Okay. And Tina Shatek, you know her?
Yeah, neighbors. I mean, yeah, neighbors. You're in a farming community.
All right, so you determined the address, you went there.
Yes.
What did you do when you pulled up?
Well, pulled up, I saw a man and a woman and a child, and got out of my car and went running towards them and said, "Where's the baby?" They didn't show any emotion or expression, and then the man said, "Inside." And I said, "Show me." And so he took me inside, and we walked through the living room, and then he took me to a back bedroom, and it was dark and hot. It was stuffy. And I was looking for a crib, and I couldn't see anything. And I said, "We've got to get some lights on in here," because you couldn't see anything because it was dark. There was it was dark. And so he flipped on the switch, and the lights came on, and then as he was walking away, he muttered something, which I didn't hear. And then I turned, and I'm getting...
That's okay. So he flipped the lights on for you?
Yes.
And after flipping on the lights, he mutters something and he walks away?
Yeah. He said, when I said, "Where's the..." I looked at the crib, and then it's like, "Where's the baby?" He said, in the swing. Or in the swing.
So in the apartment, you again asked, "Where's the baby?"
Yes.
When you asked that, were the lights off still?
Yes.
And then the lights came on?
Yep.
He had told you the baby's in a swing?
Yes.
And at that point, did he walk away?
Yes.
Let me back up a little bit before we go any farther. When you pulled up to the apartment complex, are we talking about 3-4-story high apartments? What are we looking at?
You're looking at a brick 1-story building that's kind of like in a U shape with apartments on this side, and they were straightforward.
And you said that you saw a male, a female, and a child.
Yes.
Tell us about the child.
From what I just saw, she had I have 3 daughters. She had on a very fancy, colorful dress and was also just standing there. It was, oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
With my girls, it was like a Easter dress or a party dress, or it was a pretty dress. It was a dress.
All right, so walking into the apartment, is this a big apartment?
No, it's smaller. The living room is a regular, normal living room. The bedroom that I walked into was small.
And from the living room, could you walk straight back into that bedroom?
Yes. Pretty
So
much so, yeah.
You're in the bedroom now. The man had left. Are you by yourself?
Yes.
What do you do?
Well, from where I was standing, you still really couldn't see the baby because the swing was in the corner of the room facing the outside wall. And so I went over to the baby. And then, because you had to get over in front of it in order to see him, and, you know, so then he was staring. He had his eyes were open, and he was a blank stare. His pupils were fixed and dilated.
What does that mean to you?
That means he was just staring, and the pupils, there was like no reaction in them. He was just staring. Sorry, I don't mean to. His eyes were fixed and dilated, and pupils should kind of sometimes move, and his didn't. And he never blinked, and so then you go ahead and you do, you know, your assessment on the child. I went down to look, listen, and feel, breathing-wise, basic life support. He wasn't breathing, checked his brachial pulse. His arm was cold and stiff, and he had what appeared to be blood around on the side of his mouth.
So at this point, what's your assessment?
This isn't right. My assessment is this is not a baby who I can do CPR on.
Did you determine that he was dead?
Yes. All of his extremities were cold. He was rigid, stiff. So my assessment was, do not do CPR. There's something wrong here.
Did you step back then?
Yes. I never got, yeah.
Did you at some point, when you were doing your look, listen, feel, did you at some point move some blankets that were on the baby?
So, look, listen, and feel. So, I touched his chest. His clothes are kind of crusty. And then he had a blanket that was draped over him. And when I touched that, there was like bugs that came up from that.
What do you mean by bug?
Little gnats that flew from that. And, yeah.
Do you remember what it smelled like?
It was, the whole room was hot, and urine, it smelled, there was a stench of urine in the whole room.
Was there any type of air circulation in that room?
It didn't feel like it, not that I'm aware of. It was just a strong sense of, a strong smell of urine.
Did the room have any windows in it?
There was one window on the outside wall.
Is that the wall that the baby was facing?
Yes, and, but it was all covered up. There was no,
Covered with what?
like a blanket or something, or I don't know. It was covered. So that no light or anything could come in.
Was there a point that Tina Shatek came in the room?
Yes. She came in at some point and said, you know, what can I do? And because she stood at the door, I said, what can I do? And I said, just go be with the family. Because there was nothing more that nobody else needed to see this.
Who was the next person that arrived?
Jeremy McGrath.
And who was that?
He's, well, he runs the Chickasaw County Ambulance, and he's also a medical investigator. Like,
When Jeremy came in the room, what did you tell him?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
Did you call anyone else for assistance?
After I got done with the assessment, before anybody else came, I called back into the sheriff's office and said that I needed another medical examiner and the sheriff.
Why did you ask for those people?
Because something wasn't right. And I'm a medical examiner investigator also, but because of how we do it in Chickasaw County, that if you come onto a scene as a first responder or ambulance or something like that, then you call in another medical examiner investigator.
And the point of calling the sheriff?
Because something wasn't right. This was not normal.
How long did you stay at the scene?
Again, when I stayed there until law enforcement told me to leave.
When you first arrived and went into that room, did you ever leave the baby
No,
before you left?
no.
Did you at some point identify what the baby's name was?
Yeah, Sterling.
You talked about the man who took you into the bedroom and told you the baby was in the scene.
Yes,
Is he present in the courtroom today?
yes.
Can you point him out close, please?
The man in the red shirt.
In the pink shirt?
Yeah,
The record would reflect that the witness has identified the defendant.
So noted.
I have a few pictures that I want you to look at. And we'll go through them one by one, okay?
yeah.
I'm going to hand you State's Exhibit 2. Is that what the room looked like on August 30th, 2017 when you walked in and saw the baby?
Yes,
State would offer State's Exhibit 2.
Object for reasons previously stated, Your Honor.
As previously ruled, 2 is admitted.
And Exhibits 3 and 4. Is that what Sterling looked like when you saw him that day?
yes,
State would offer Exhibits 3 and 4.
Defense objects to 3 and 4 for reasons stated previously, Your Honor.
3 and 4 are admitted as previously ruled.
Permission to enter, Your Honor. Or, I'm sorry.
To publish?
Permission to publish.
Granted.
Judge, did you want this?
No.
All right, just so the jury knows what we're going to see, that first picture I showed you, Exhibit 2, what is that a picture of?
the first picture you showed me. That would have been me standing when he flipped the lights on.
Just if you need to look at.
The first one.
Yep.
Yes, this is me a little bit closer, or this picture's a little bit closer of where I would have been standing at the door as I walked in. He flipped the lights on, and then I would have, this is the picture I would have seen.
So what we're seeing is more of the back or the side of the swing?
Yes, yes.
So I'm going to put up...
At this point, you still don't know what's going on.
I'm going to put up State's Exhibit 2 on the screen.
That one.
So when you came in the room and were walking up, like you said, you weren't aware exactly of what you were going to see when you came around.
Right. Right.
All right, State's Exhibit 3, what are we going to see when that comes up?
That comes up of what I see when I walk around to see Sterling.
In Exhibit 2 that we're looking at right now, we see seems like an orange and white colored cloth in front of the swing. Is that right?
Yes.
Is that where you walked around to stand between the wall and swing?
Yes, someplace in, yes.
All right, I'm putting State's Exhibit 3 on the screen. You talked about a blanket that you pulled up. Is that in?
It was, that's the quilt. I called it a quilt, and it was moist, and when I touched it, or when I, because I tried to get a brachial pulse,
The brachial pulse is taken where?
in your, like right here.
And is that on the inside of your elbow?
Yes.
Okay. So the quilt that we're looking at that's on top of Sterling, is that the quilt that you moved inside of that?
Yes.
All right, State's Exhibit 4. Well, let me ask you this. There's a pink blanket underneath the swing. Was that on Sterling or was
Oh,
that
no.
on the floor?
It was on the floor.
State's Exhibit 4 is more of a close-up of Sterling. You talked about how you saw some, what appeared to be blood around his mouth.
Yes.
Okay. From your training and experience, what did you believe that to be from?
I don't know. I don't know. And so when I went to check the brachial pulse on him to pull his little arm down, I couldn't move it. It was rigid.
And you're talking about his arm.
Yes.
Where?
And he was cold.
What were his hands like when you saw him?
They were clenched in a fist.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
No, I'm unaware. Just tell me when the photos have been taken down.
They have been
I
taken.
cannot see the screen.
The photos have been taken down.
So let's try to work together, and when we're done with the photo, make sure it's taken down and does not stand. Cross-examination.
Thank you. Ma'am, are you okay to answer some questions, or do you need a brief break?
I'm good.
Okay. When you were dispatched to the apartment, were you informed that the 911 caller had said that the infant was dead?
Breathless, possibly dead.
So possibly dead was something you were aware of when you went there.
Yeah, like SIDS.
And when you refer to SIDS, what does that mean?
That means of a child that died in their sleep.
What is, my question was unclear, I apologize. What does SIDS stand for?
Sudden infant death.
When you arrived on the scene, you described to the jury that there was a man, a woman, and a small child. You described for a sure interaction with the man. Did you have any interaction with the adult woman?
No.
When you got there, did you tell folks that you were a first responder?
I'm not sure.
Do you recall how you identified yourself when you asked where the child was?
I am not sure there either.
You testified about your observation of Sterling when you saw him. When you observed the body, you did not see any signs of decomposition, correct?
Correct.
You also had testified that you moved some blankets around Sterling. Was that blanket or the quilt that was moist?
Yes.
And you saw some gnats that flew out of there. Did you see anything that indicated that the gnats, excuse me, you did not see anything that indicated that those insects had actually been feeding on the infant's body, correct?
Correct.
Based on your experience as a nurse, if an infant has respiratory breathing problems, it's not unusual for parents to have the child sleep in a sitting up position, correct?
Correct.
And in your 35 years as a nurse, you've actually observed medical professionals recommend that for infants with a respiratory problem, right?
To keep them upright, yes.
Before August 30th of 2017, had you ever met Cheyenne Harris?
No.
Had you ever met Zachary Koehn?
No.
Thank you, ma'am. That's all the questions that I have.
Redirect.
No.
You may step down. Is this witness excused?
Yes.
You're free to leave. Next witness.
State will call Tina Shatek. If you'll excuse me, Your Honor, I'll get her from the hallway.
That's fine. Feel free to stand and stretch as you go. Face me and raise your right hand. Do you promise the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth? If so, say I do. Have a seat. Proceed.
Ma'am, if you could please state your first and last name and please spell them for the record.
Tina Shatek, Tinashatek.
And ma'am, where do you live?
I live by Alma, Iowa.
Is that in Chickasaw County?
No, it's a mile into Howard County.
Who lives with you?
My husband,
And do you have children?
yes, we have 4 adult children and 7 grandchildren.
And are you employed, ma'am?
Yes,
How are you employed back on August 30th, 2017?
I work for the United States Postal Service in Alma and Alta Vista, Iowa. I'm a rural carrier.
And you said you're a rural letter carrier?
Carrier, yes.
What does it mean to be a rural letter carrier?
We deliver everyone's mail and packages.
Are you familiar then through your duties as a mail carrier with the city of Alta Vista?
Pardon me?
Are you familiar with the city of Alta Vista?
Yes,
Do you have a route in Alta Vista?
yes.
How big is Alta Vista?
800 people?
Small community?
Yes.
Have you had some prior training and experience as a first responder?
Yes, 20 years ago, though.
And is there a reason you stopped doing first responder work?
Just too busy.
Do you know Toni Friedrich?
Yes.
How do you know her?
I used to babysit her children when they were small before I started working full-time.
Now, were you familiar with the apartment complex located at 107 South Hilltop Avenue in Alta Vista?
Yes.
Can you kind of describe that complex for the jury?
There's 3 apartment buildings, and there's 3 separate addresses. There's 4 apartments in each building.
Do you deliver mail to those addresses?
Yes.
Do they have individualized mailboxes, or do you go in the building, or how does that work?
They're individual post mailboxes in a line, and the only time we need to go into the apartments is if we have a package.
Had you ever been in apartment number 7 at that address prior to August 30th?
Before they were there, yes.
Had you ever met the defendant, Zachary Koehn, prior to August 30th, 2017?
No,
How about his live-in girlfriend, Cheyenne Harris?
no,
Their baby, Sterling?
no,
Their daughter, Nala?
no.
So were you working on August 30th, 2017?
Yes, I was.
Where were you at about 1 o'clock that afternoon?
I was driving down the street in Alta Vista.
And what happened next?
I saw Toni with her flashers on, and so I drove up to her. She had stopped at the stop sign, and I asked her if I could help her. And the scanner was on, and it said they were looking for apartment 7.
When you said you saw Toni, is that Toni Friedrich?
Yes.
And when you saw her, where was she at?
She was in her vehicle at the stop sign.
And what was she doing?
She was listening to the dispatch
And why was it that you approached her?
because she had her lights on, and I knew she was looking for something
How could you tell that?
because her lights were flashing. And when I pulled up, she was going down the street that way, and then when I got closer, she came back down, so I knew she was looking for something.
And what happened next?
I pulled up to her, and she said the scanner went off and said, "I'm looking for apartment 7." And I turned around and I pointed it to her. She wasn't far from it. And so she took off and went around to
And
it.
To be clear, you were each in your own vehicle,
Yes.
correct? What did you do after Toni took off in her vehicle?
I went around the block and I parked.
And
And
where
I-
did you park?
I parked right in front of the apartment.
And why did you do that?
I was hoping I could help if needed to be.
And so did you see Toni get out of her vehicle?
No, she was already in the room when I got there.
What were you hoping to help with?
Anything.
And when you say help, did you mean because you had first responder training?
Yes,
And so did you get out of your vehicle?
yes.
What did you do?
I went into the building. I walked into the building. I went into the room, and Toni was in the back bedroom. And I saw she wasn't giving emergency care. So I just asked her, "What can I do?" And she said, "Just console the parents." So I turned around, and they were standing there.
Let me stop you there,
Okay.
ma'am, okay? So you went into the room where Toni was at, correct?
Yes.
Did you see the child?
No, I did not.
What did you see?
I saw Toni kneeling down by it, and with just her expression, I knew that there wasn't anything I could do. She wasn't doing CPR. She wasn't doing anything. So
What was the child doing?
it was in a baby swing.
How was the swing positioned?
Towards the wall.
Can you describe how the room felt?
The room was very warm. There was no air. It smelled.
What did it smell like?
Diapers.
When you say diapers, do you mean clean or soiled diapers?
Soiled.
How strong was the smell?
Strong.
And Toni directed you to go console the parent?
Yes.
And so you left the room?
I turned around because it's very small in there. I turned around and the parents were standing right there with their little girl.
Where were they standing?
Just right outside the bedroom.
And so there was, who was standing outside the bedroom? A little girl? Anybody else?
Zach and Cheyenne.
And that is the defendant, Mr. Koehn,
Yes.
and Cheyenne Harris.
Yes.
Did you talk to the defendant, Mr. Koehn?
When I got up to them, I said, "I'm sorry what happened."
And to be clear, I only want to have you talk about statements made by Mr. Koehn, okay?
Okay,
So you said, "I'm sorry for what happened."
yes. And then she said something, then he said, she woke me up, I was sleeping, I truck at night.
Can you describe the emotional state of Mr. Koehn, the defendant?
Quiet, no tears.
That seemed unusual to you.
Yes,
Why?
because I would have been in hysterical.
When you talked to Mr. Koehn outside the room where Sterling was at, was the law enforcement officers, were they there yet?
No,
How long did you talk to Mr. Koehn?
not very long.
Did you stay in the apartment or go somewhere else?
He stayed in the apartment, then Officer Palo came in and took them to the other bedroom, and I left.
Where did you go when you left?
I left back on my route.
Did you continue on your route?
Yes,
How did you feel?
sick.
What happened?
I got sick.
What do you mean?
I threw up down the road.
Why did you do that?
Why did I do that?
Yeah.
Because it was terrible, bad place to be at the wrong time. I did not help anybody, so I didn't need to be there.
Thank you, that's all the questions I have.
Cross?
You observed baby diapers, towels, and wipes in the apartment when you were in there?
Yes,
And I think you said Zach told you that he had been woken up and told the baby was gone.
yes,
But he also told you that he worked nights.
yes.
Now, this is the first time you'd ever actually met Zach. wasn't it?
Yes,
And you don't know how he reacts to traumatic emotional situations, do you?
no,
Different people react differently, don't they?
sure.
And I think you said he was quiet.
Yes,
Not the same reaction you would have had, but you don't know how he reacts to it.
no,
You said that you used to be a first responder.
yes.
In viewing his reactions, did you consider shock?
Shock? I'm not sure.
Redirect.
And you said you saw baby bottles and diapers and wipes, correct?
Diapers, I recall.
Okay.
I didn't recall seeing bottles.
Let me ask you about the diapers. Were those clean, fresh diapers, or were they soiled diapers?
Soiled.
Now, I understand from your testimony, you were only in the apartment for a few moments, correct?
Yes.
Were you focused on the contents of the room?
No.
Where was your focus?
I don't remember.
When you talked about the diapers being soiled, can you tell us where you saw them?
They were on the floor, on the furniture.
And did you think they were soiled because they were wrapped up?
Yes.
To be clear, you didn't examine them?
No.
That's all the questions I have.
Recross.
Ms. Shatek, do you remember giving a deposition back in March of this year?
Yes.
And during that deposition, your testimony, you were asked questions, weren't you?
Yes.
And you were under oath at that time.
Yes.
Do you remember testifying at that time regarding observing baby care supplies, bottles, diapers, wipes in the apartment?
I don't recall.
Commissioner Brooke?
You may.
I'll go to page where it shows
Page 9.
Sir?
You're just going to have her read it to herself first?
Yes. Did you take a look at that? Tell me what it is?
Where do you want me to
I
look?
don't read anything. I just want you to tell us what it is, what the document is.
The deposition?
Is that a transcript of your deposition
Yes.
that was taken back in March?
Yes.
And I'm going to refer you to page 9. And I'm going to refer you to lines 8 through 10 and ask you to read those lines to yourself.
Yes.
Now,
Any, observed any.
there's no question pending.
Okay.
Now, back in March at your deposition, did you tell us that you observed baby care supplies in the apartment?
Yes.
And then you specifically went on to say bottles, diapers, wipes.
No.
Ma'am, I'm going to show you the transcript of your deposition again and ask you to look again at line 10.
Well, I could have said, I just remembered bottles. I mean, I remembered diapers.
Well,
But,
that's not what you told us back in March, is it?
well, supplies.
And then you specifically went on to say bottles,
No, I did
diapers,
not say
wipes.
bottles.
You're saying
Wipes.
that the transcript of the deposition is incorrect.
I just remember saying diapers.
You're saying that the transcript of your deposition is incorrect.
I might not have remembered saying that.
I'm sorry. Nothing further. Well, no, nothing further.
Any further?
Cat, first witness.
You may.
Ms. Shatek, I want to ask you about the deposition. Can you tell the jury what question you were asked and your answer at the deposition?
You're asking him to read it aloud?
Yes. Read it line
8,
starting at line 8, the question, your answer.
when you were in the apartment, did you observe any baby care supplies, bottles, diapers, wipes? I said yes.
And that was the testimony you gave at your deposition?
Yes.
And you testified here today that you did see diaper care products. You saw diapers, right?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Recross. Can this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're free to leave. We have another fairly short witness. Next one will be quite long. So let's take a recess now, and then we'll start on that witness. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, continue to heed the admonition, discuss the case among yourselves, and not do any individual research. We'll resume in about 10, 15 minutes. We'll come get you.
So we have to